Hi, I'm Gwen Aviles. I am here with Arturo Castro, whose comedy sketch show, Alternatino, just premiered on Comedy Central yesterday. And we're having a conversation, I look to the sign, with NBC Think and NBC Latino. So, I want to get this out of the way, immediately.
Okay.
The title of your show.
Sure.
Mostly because I want to cover my tracks, because I keep thinking alternativo, which is alternate in Spanish.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Tell me the story behind Alternatino.
I wish there was more of an interesting story, but I was just in a pitch meeting, and they were like, "What would you call a sketch show?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess an alternative version of Latino. Oh, Alternatino," and it sort of stuck. All right, fine. I was 15 in a coming of age ceremony in the Patagonia rainforest, and my shaman and I were in a mushroom-induced stupor, and the name just came to me. That was just a pitch. That was a pitch meeting. But you know what? In another sense, I was like, it sort of represents what I think the show is about. Sort of like I've never seen sort of an alternate version of. I never saw myself represented on TV, so I grew to really like the name and what it sort of stands for.
Yeah, I want to talk about Latino identity. There's so many. I mean, the show is hilarious, first of all. And I should have started out by saying congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
It is just, I turned on the TV show and I was cracking up from the very first few
thank you
seconds.
so much. Wow.
But you touch upon, some really integral moments that we're having now in conversations about Latino identity.
Sure.
And I want to ask you, how Latino identity factors into your comedy.
I mean, we always aim to be funny first, for sure, but definitely, it's just a part of my perspective. I'm an immigrant from Guatemala. I've been living in New York for 14 years, and I feel New York is my home. I use comedy sometimes to, if you can laugh at your demons, they don't really become scary anymore, and they're not my own personal demons. It's just sort of what I feel is a persecution of people that sort of look like me, and I just really like wearing wigs and dresses, so I created a show.
So you were talking about before how you hunkered down in a WeWork studio to, write with your team and to work on the show. Tell me a little bit more about that process, how, you decided on who to collaborate with, how you came up with all these incredibly hilarious sketches.
It was just a raffle. I put out some lottery tickets for people to win, and they just, no. The pilot we wrote in WeWork, with a great head writer called Jeremy Byler, and then when we got picked up the series, Jay Martell, who was the head writer on Key and Peele, came to work with us, and our writing team is really diverse and cool. There's 3 Latinx writers, including myself, and we have 3 women, one member of the LGBT community, and a bunch of white dudes, and but together we just sort of attack it from all aspects, and I'm lucky enough to write with some of the most brilliant minds in the industry. How does it come together? Every day we have a pitch meeting about things that make us laugh, and every Tuesday we have a pitch meeting about things that scare us or make us angry, and so we try to make them funny.
Yeah, there's so much packed into each episode, and they're only 20 minutes long. So I imagine, since some of it is taken from your own life, that this work was actually years in the making. Tell me, I guess, about the length of this and, the generation of those ideas and what you pulled from your
It started in 2015, as a web series. I just, I didn't really see anything out there that I was like, oh, this is sort of what my experience was. And so the first sketch that I wrote was about cursing in front of your Latin mother, and how, the flip-flop just, I feel women, I don't know if it's all mothers, but, Latin women are so precise with the shoe. It's really it's fascinating. It's and when they're on the phone, they're so much more precise, which you'd think they'd be distracted in. And so it started like that, and in the web series we went really broad, and it was for a purpose, because I knew once we got to television we wanted to make it a little more grounded. But that's how it was born in 2015, and then we did two seasons online, and then we moved over to television. Now we have a TV show, which is insane. It's insane. It's insane. It really is crazy. Every time I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, there's a billboard. It's, I was a very broke actor hustling in theater for a long time in New York. I'm still really broke, but but now I have billboards, so. Yeah.
I want to talk about that, actually. I believe one of your first roles was actually as a tongue or a taste bud.
A taste bud inside a giant
Let's
tongue.
talk more about that.
It's so funny because they had this sort of weird description. It was okay, this taste bud is sultry and foreign and sensitive. I'm like, my only line is wazoo. But coming right out of drama school, I'm like, I get it, Yeah, you had to do like, I never took a job that wasn't acting because I figure like, money's addictive. And so if you can grab a shift at a restaurant and make $300, you're not going to go do that crappy play in like off Broadway somewhere that might eventually get you an agent or might give you training. So I had to do a lot of short films and a lot of commercials in order to make ends meet. Then sort of prepared me for like when you have to like play like 7 different characters in a week in order to like make a little money. It sort of prepared me for having my own show with a lot of different characters.
Yeah. We were talking before about how the show touches upon so many integral moments in national conversation pertaining to Latinos. Very tough, difficult moments. The conversation surrounding immigration, the conversation and action surrounding Puerto Rico, which, by the way, so far, that's one of my favorite sketches. I loved what you did with the paper towels.
Oh,
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Tell me about the challenges that accompany twisting the narrative around, really playing into those stereotypes so you reveal and strip back the absurdism of other people's views of Latinos.
Oh yeah, you just like you take like what like the misconceptions that I think exist out of. I would like to believe that most people aren't about like ill-intentioned. They're just like misinformed. I think if you're not exposed to more than one sort of type of Latino or any Latinos at all, that might be your impression of it. So we take the narrative that we hear and we retake it and we exaggerate it so people are like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. We're like, exactly, And I feel like that's a really bonding tool. When you see somebody that doesn't look like you go through things you can relate to, maybe next time you see them, it won't be that foreign,
Yeah. What do you want to see more of in terms of Latino representation?
Characters that just happen to be Latin and has nothing to do with what they're doing, like a doctor that happens to be Latin. It's not the struggle of being a Latino doctor. It's starting to happen. A good friend of mine is in The Good Doctor, Nicholas Gonzalez, and he just happens to be Latin. It's not like this sort of, I don't think being Latin is something you have to overcome. It's just something that you are. It's something that you look like or the culture that you belong to. But yeah, I think it's important when you grow up, you look at television or you look at media to tell you what your story should be. And when all you see is sort of criminals or people in service, then there's not much to aim for, But I think and I hope that it's changing for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned before that you didn't have a lot of role models growing up, Latino representation to look to. Who were your role models then and now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely grew up with Chespirito and El Chapulín Colorado and just which was an original, it was sort of a sketch show, it was really different characters, on the Latin side, Eugenio Derbez. But the guy that really sort of changed my life was Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard has this stand-up special called Dressed to Kill, and he was just so smart and gave the audience basically a lesson on World War II while making it incredibly funny, and I didn't know you could do both, So that was sort of my shift. Were my heroes back then. And now, I look to the greats, Key and Peele, Dave Chappelle, Amy Schumer. They're all so impressive in their points of view,
Mm-hmm. On the flip side, is it tiring to have to always maybe feel pressured to create work that pertains to Latino identity?
I don't feel pressured to create work that pertains to Latino identity. I think with this iteration of it, I think it's accomplishing one thing that I want to do, which is showing people different sides of it. But yeah, moving forward, the stories can be as varied as the thoughts in my head, which are a lot of the times. Lots of voices in there.
Yeah.
Be quiet.
Speaking of those voices, you play so many different characters. Who's your favorite? Do you have a sketch that that's my baby, I love that sketch?
It's hard to pick a baby, but I can tell you that playing the hot mess redhead, redheaded bridesmaid, is really fun because she gets drunk. She gets to get drunk and destroy a wedding, and it's just like, hey, bitch, I had to shave my legs for it, shave my chest, so that was really interesting. Yeah, I think she's so fun. Her name is Jekka, and it's just like a ball to play.
Do you have any funny anecdotes from the show, shooting, bloopers that you might want to share with us?
Well, I almost got hypothermia when we were shooting a hurricane sketch where I'm drenched in water and there's a rain machine.
Oh my gosh.
And it was January 17th last year, and it was freezing, and I was wearing a t-shirt. I've never felt such pain on my head. I felt like somebody was ripping my scalp open. And so I'd run into the trailer and I'm like, all right, one more take. And the onset doctor's like, no, dude. And I'd run out and do another one, and I come back and he's like, I'm like, all right, one more take. They're like, okay, you are going, I need to stop this right now. I was like, just take my sweater off, and I just want one more take. They're like, you're not wearing a sweater. And I was like, okay, I can't feel my arms. I think we need to stop. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but it was, you're just so in it, And then it turned out, when you see it, it looks like my life is in danger. So it adds to the effect.
So look forward to that, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you hope people will get from the show?
I hope it builds a little bit of empathy. I hope you laugh more than anything, but I hope it builds some empathy. I hope it builds a little bit of a understanding or informing of like different takes on what you might expect. But more than anything, I just hope they realize it's a party and everybody's invited, and we celebrate diversity. We celebrate underheard voices. We try to amplify them, and that's a really cool thing to be a part of. So come join us.